Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 13 of our podcast. I'm so glad that you guys are able to join us here today. And you know what? In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about the 10 most common mistakes businesses make with their social media profiles and what you can do to avoid making those mistakes. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, well, thank you very much for sticking with us this far. This is episode 13, and you know what? As I said before, it's pretty much going to be on the 10 most enduring mistakes that businesses make with their social media profiles that in the end mean that, these guys just aren't getting the attention that they want. They're not getting the right people, and they're just not getting clients in. And social media, as far as they're concerned, is failing. However, if you can avoid making these mistakes, and I'm going to share some opinions on how you can avoid making these kinds of mistakes that are so common and so simple to avoid, that you might just come out ahead. So, here it goes. Okay, tip number 1. Now, one of the things that I teach is consistency. I know that a lot of people hear this all the time, but just because you hear it doesn't mean you do it. All right, now I'm guilty of it. In fact, if you look at some of my past social media escapades, you're going to notice big giant gaps. And that's not because I wasn't trying to follow my own advice or, take a hit of my own medicine. It is more because when you're in a business like I'm in, one of the most common things that you're going to see is that, businesses like mine look after everybody else's accounts before we get onto ours. So that's something that happens. It's a thing, people. It's a thing. Okay, so posting once in a while is definitely something you don't want to do. So if you want some serious traction, if you want to see your profiles actually get people and engage these people and show them something new and talk about, get them excited about what you're offering, then you want to post more than once in a while. In fact, it's recommended that you post about 4 times a day. This is Facebook we're talking about, okay? On Instagram, it's something like, 10 times a day. So go ahead and do that and try and keep up with that if you will. On LinkedIn, again, you're looking at about 4 to 5 times a day, depending on how much content you have, but I would recommend at minimum to post about 4 times a day. Then there's YouTube. YouTube, man, if you can post 1 video a day, you are on it. Most of us are just not going to be able to keep up with that kind of thing, okay, because we're not a production house, but it is what it is. So, those are the recommendations, and the recommendations are there basically to get you guys understanding how important it is to stay on top of it. After all, social media, if anything, is about attention. Okay, so if you want to drive some serious attention, you are going to need to kind of follow these guidelines. And I'm not the one that set these up. It's not like I'm pulling these out of fat air. It's more like this is kind of like the industry standard. You want success, you're going to have to earn it, right? And that goes for everything. All right, point number 2. Every post is a sales pitch. Every post is a sales pitch. I mean, seriously. I've gone to so many social media profiles, just because I like wandering around on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. And what I have seen is an absolute throw up of people posting, hey, buy this, or look at my program, you must have it. It just doesn't work that way, okay? All these platforms are based around communities, are based around trust, are based around connecting people. And if you're not into connecting people, then I'm afraid you're just going to lose, okay? No one likes to be sold to. In fact, I'll bet you anything that you don't go out to a sales, like a car sales lot. You don't go out to a dealership and hang around the sales guys all day long just because you like being pitched to, okay? Nobody does it. At least not for fun, and not if you're right in the head. So that's point number two. If every one of your posts looks like an ad, smells like an ad, sounds like an ad, you might want to look into that and you might want to change, okay? What you want to really do is connect with your audience, and selling to them constantly is definitely not going to drive any sort of connection. So be aware of that. Okay, every post, here's point number three, every post looks the same. That's the same as saying that what you're doing is bland, okay? Your posts, they're basic, okay? You don't want to be basic. You don't want to be that kind of, business that pretty much puts up the same sort of thing every day and expects people to like it. I mean, how many days in a row can you eat porridge and still love it? Anyone? Yeah, that's right. Gruel is not something you want to have on a daily basis, so why would you serve it up to anybody else? You just wouldn't want to do that. All right, so on to point number 4, not enough video or Facebook live content, okay? Now, if you're on, Instagram and that's your favorite kind of deal to be on, that's great. More power to you. Here's the thing. How much time do you spend making videos and content for that, for that account, for your business? How are you connecting with people through video? If you're not aware by now, video is the number one rated type of media that people love to watch. That's why people go on YouTube so much. In fact, in Australia, there's over 15 million monthly users. 15 million people log into YouTube and watch videos monthly. That's 1 in 6 people, and, most of these people log in at least once a day. I'm not going to, comment on where they do it from. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that they log in. What matters is that they're looking for content, all right? So, how much video content are you putting out there? If you're not putting out any kind of video content and you're just expecting photos to tell the entire story, then you are not you're not getting the full benefit of it. So, you might want to consider kind of changing that up for yourself, yeah? All right, on to point number 5. Inviting family and friends to like your page. Hands up if you're guilty of doing that. Come on, don't be shy. It's you, isn't it? Yeah, I'm talking to you. All right, but seriously, here's why you might want to get rid of those people from your business's Facebook page, because they're actually not doing you any favors. Okay? So what I mean by that is this. Facebook's algorithm, okay, and I'm talking specifically about Facebook here, but Facebook's algorithm pretty much looks at the kind of content you put onto your page every single day, and then has a look at the interaction from the people following your page compared to that content. Now, you may be creating some fantastic content that is geared towards people who would love nothing more than to see your product or your service, or they want to know that you exist, right? Well, unfortunately, because of the way that the Facebook algorithm is set up, what it looks at is those people on your Facebook page. If they're not interacting with it, and these are people that like your page, then what chance does your content have with anyone outside of your circle, right? If that makes sense and you understand exactly what I'm talking about, you might want to go into your settings, go into, I forget what the setting is. It's like people and pages, I believe, something similar to that. If you have people that do not interact with your content, that never have interacted with your content, whether they're friends or family or whatever, and they just don't like, they don't comment, they don't share, they just don't care, you might want to shed that dead weight, okay? That's just one man's opinion, but hey, it works, okay? So whether you take it on board or not, totally up to you. All right. Oh my goodness, this next one is a killer. We see it so many times, and you know what? It is the worst, okay? Buying likes follows comments and interactions. All right, if you are one of those businesses that insists on having fake social proof because you want people visiting your page to see that you have a high volume of numbers, guess what? you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. You are making sure that your business will fall flat on its face because it cannot even walk on its own 2 feet. Again, those kinds of people that are attached to your page, unless they are diehard about your content and about what your business is offering, and they really believe in, your service or your product, and they're raving about it, then man, it's just not going to work for you. And that's a long-term game. So, if you're going to be on social, you understand that it's long-term. You understand that it's one of those places where you want to connect. So how are you going to connect with someone who you're paying to be there? You're not. That's the short answer. So think about what you're doing with that, okay? Have a real good sit down and think about, okay, why am I paying for this? Why am I paying for likes when none of those people are ever going to buy my product? None of those people are going to, really care. Because sooner or later, you're going to have to stop paying for that kind of thing. And then your interaction's going to drive itself right down. And Facebook's going to see that. Or Instagram's going to see that. And you're going to be nowhere. So just trust me on this. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's bad for you. It's bad for your business. It really is. Okay. Oh, man. Here's another... this stuff is all simple, right? But one of the ones that we see quite often is businesses not interacting with comments. So here are these people that you have attracted over with your content that you've put on your page, that post that was just killer. And, they've commented on it. They're like, man, this is the coolest thing I've seen since, I don't know, whatever people deem as cool these days. I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop. But you don't say anything back to them. You don't say, hey, you know what? Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you very much for leaving this comment. I'm glad that you like what we have to share. Here, you should check this thing out as well. It might be right up your alley. All right. Now, if you're not doing that, then you're doing your page a disservice. Whether you're on Instagram, YouTube, or whether you are on Facebook, it does not matter. If you aren't interacting with anybody, then basically the algorithm of whatever platform you're on is going to look at it and go, they don't care. They don't care. They put out this really cool content over here. There's, a bunch of people trying to message them and tell them, how cool they think everything is, or, they're tagging people in it. And you do nothing about it. That is a missed opportunity. You really want to grab that with both hands. So remember to do that. What else? Here we go. Point number 9. Irrelevant or incomplete profile or page info. Is that you? Does that sound like you? Have you filled in your about section? Have you gone in and told people what hours you're actually open? Where you're located? If you haven't, then what are you doing listening to me? Go and do it right now. Nah, just kidding. Look, honestly, it is one of those very important things, and people just tend to miss it because they think, okay, all I have to do is set up a picture and a profile, and then I can start posting. Yeah, look, it might be good enough for like one day, if that, and what then? What after that? What happens when people really want some information about your business and what you have to offer and what you're really about? And they're interested, but you've got no info for them. Do you think they're going to contact you by other means, by messenger, or, if they're going to send you an email when you don't do some basic things that could end up scoring you some customers? I mean, seriously, this is pretty much, like I said, basic textbook stuff. So, if you haven't done that already, go and take a look at all of those settings. If you're using Facebook, go into your settings section and go and fill out all that info. It is only going to do your business good. And if you don't believe me, go in there, fill it out, and let the people decide what's good for them. Don't you decide what's good for them, okay? You set up a business because you have something to offer, something that you believe people would like to, would like to have and would like to use and could be very helpful to them. Well, then give them something else too. Give them all that information that they're looking for. Okay, all right, so here we go. Point 10. No basic understanding of the platform. That's a big one. If I could microphone drop right now, I would and walk away, but I don't think you get the effect of it because it's a podcast. So, I'm going to go ahead and explain what I mean by that. If you don't, and I kind of touched on this point a little bit before, but if you don't understand how the platform that you are on works at a basic level and what the platform is looking for, as far as interaction and how your customers connect with you and how you connect back with them, if you don't understand how it all works, then you are in trouble, my friend. Okay? And this again ties back to how people put up posts that are basically just pushing stuff down others' throats. You can't do that. Social media was never set up for something like that, okay? Everything's being reordered. A few years ago, it was fine for you to do that, and you'd get traction, and you'd get people coming over to your social media profile and interacting with your business because, anyone and everyone could pretty much sell. Well, it's gone back to being a lot more about the individual, a lot more about connecting people to people. So if you, for even a second, think that you can just keep selling and, that kind of content is going to get you somewhere, then I'm afraid you're just headed for disappointment. That's all it's going to be, because people are going to leave your page, or they're never going to interact with your page, even if they, unfollow your page. And what then? You're going to sit back and you're going to be like, well, this Instagram, Facebook, YouTube bit that I'm doing is just a waste of my time. It wouldn't be a waste of your time if you actually paid a little bit of attention as to how the platform works, why it's there in the first place. Okay? It's very basic. It's very, very easy to understand. But, okay, let me put it in other terms. Would you like to be sold to all the time? Is that a yes or a no? I can't hear you. No, but seriously, people think that they can just put up all these kinds of posts that just drive all this stuff towards people and that people are going to buy it just because it's a great product. Well, not everybody thinks in those terms. In fact, a very small percentage of people in the world, let alone Australia, think that way. I'm betting that you don't even think that way. You never go to, you never go to read a magazine just for the ads. You never watch a TV program just so you can look at the ads. You don't go on Instagram to look at the ads. You don't go to Facebook to look at the ads. So why would you think that creating content that looks, talks, and sounds like an ad is going to work well for you? So, if you want to do something about it, it's pretty easy. Think about how you can change that around. All right? Think about the kind of content that if you were buying this kind of product, or if you wanted people to be interested in this kind of product, how would you want them to read this kind of content? What kind of content would you like to know about? I quite often say that it's about the emotion of the product, or the emotion that the product creates. I quite often say that it's got a lot to do with just basic human feelings. It really is. We're emotional creatures. We buy an emotion. Why do you buy, one brand over another? They both do the same thing. So why would you go and buy one paper towel over another? Why would you go and buy one brand of batteries over another? They're both the same thing, but you've got a bit of a connection with one. On one level or another, things just stand out to you differently. So have a think about that. Okay? Now, you may offer a service or a product that people really need, but if all you're trying to do is ram it down their throats, they're never going to buy. So, all you have to do is just create that human emotion. Try and think about how you can do that for your business. Okay? Try and work that into your social media plan, and then go from there. Now, these are just my opinions, but having seen what I've seen in social media and what businesses kind of like to do, these are just logical conclusions, really. Now, if you like what you hear, if you believe that it's been helpful for you, that you can actually use this info, then more power to you, and I'm glad that you're going to be able to put this into action. Because that's what counts at the end of the day. It's no good me sitting here and telling you guys, hey, this would work really well, and you standing there and going, yeah, you know what, I think you make a lot of sense. Well, it's great that I'm making sense, but if you never put it into action, it's never going to mean much to you. So really have a think about what your social media, what you want it to do, okay? And then have a think about how the platform that you've chosen actually works. And then have a think about your client, your ideal customer. What do they talk like? You know? Do they use technical jargon? Do they use technical speak that nobody else outside of your industry uses? No. They just care about the end product and how it makes them feel and what it helps them accomplish. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave it there. But you guys can have a really good think about that, and I'd love to hear your comments about if this kind of information has helped you. I'd like to know if you were able to implement any of these, any of these opinions, and make them part of your social media plan. And if you did, how have they worked out? Now, again, this isn't going to happen overnight. You never build a relationship like that overnight. This is social media. Chances are you don't see that person that you interact with on social media day to day, especially if you view them as a client. Okay? So this is going to take a little bit of time, but if you keep at it, and again, consistency is key here, then you will see results. And that's just how the game works. And you're in business, or you're starting out in business, so that's one of the key things that you should know. These things take time. It is a process that you have to follow, and just keep at it. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that it's been helpful for you. I hope you guys can put this into action for yourselves and see some real results. And if you have, write those comments down. I'd love to hear what you did different and what kind of results you've seen. And if you haven't, well, it's free advice, so stop complaining. I'm just kidding. All right, look, it's been fun. I've loved sharing these 10 points with you. Most common things that people get wrong with social media and what you could do different to actually make it work for you. But if you want to hear any other kind of topics, if you want me to do a little bit of a deep dive into any of these things that I've talked about today or in any other podcasts that we've put up before, then leave them in the comments. Leave your comments. I read them, so let me know what you think. And let me know if all of this stuff does actually make sense to you and whether you plan on using it for your business. Until next time, I'm Sabin, and you've been amazing. So I'll catch you later.